Well, happy Saturday, folks. The real Captain Kirk here. We're live on Bethlehem Plaza here, downtown Bethlehem here on the last Saturday of September here. So hard to believe, moving at warp speed here. We were down in Florida here speaking on a panel here with the Women in Agribusiness Conference. Just some phenomenal women in agribusiness. Met some great leaders. Exciting. We'll talk about that more in a second here. But before I did my pitch here, again, talking about year-ahead weather in our 2026 crop outlook for the folks. We reminded them of the Back to the Future 2 movie back in 1989. Again, I was a brand new officer at MacDill Air Force Base, but remember when Marty McFly and Doc leave the sports almanac behind, and Biff, the villain, actually gets his hands on the sports almanac of the future and knows every sporting score in history, right? So he changes the world for the worst. Fortunately, here again, we were just talking about the 2026 crop outlook and what we saw here for the year ahead, impacting farmers, and FarmCast, our product here that gives farmers, again, everywhere on Earth, every mile on Earth, today, tonight, next week, this week, and year ahead, and then crop milestones. So it's a year ahead daily PDF report. Farmers love it. They won't love what we were talking about here with Brazil here. So Brazil's main crop, this full season crop that's going in the ground now, is the coolest in 3 years. What it's in 10 is our forecast. That projects record shattering yields on top of record yields. And then as they go into their second crop here that they'll plant later this winter into their spring, our spring, will be the coolest in 3 years, wettest in 14 for the Safrinha crop. So that leads record shattering yields on top of record shattering yields, which means certainly going to have a lot of inventory and a lot of price pressure here. So for any farmers out there, again, check out FarmCast here. Again, it's a neat $3.99. In fact, we're giving $50 off here for the FarmCast product. So again, check out this QR code here on everything FarmCast. Drought, unfortunately, for farmers, I guess good news, bad news, is that we had July into early August was the wettest in 15 years across the Corn Belt. So that saved the day. Certainly had a lot of growth for corn, and certainly record yields is the expectation here. So dry now since then, though, since about mid-July, it's definitely dried out across the U.S. here. Now 68% of the country in dry to drought phases, which is well above the average of 53. It was really neat leaving Florida here. Again, neat if you're a meteorologist at 30,000 feet, seeing thunderstorms. It was pretty fascinating. A couple big ones. This one here was some lightning bolts that hit. So that was neat. Again, the folks on the plane didn't think it was quite so neat. But in any event, we are currently in day 118 here for the hurricane season here. So we're coming down from the historical peak. Now, this is just history. We have 64 days to go. We've had a couple flare-ups here. We've got major hurricane Humberto. Bad news here is that this one's going to come a little closer to Bermuda than Aaron did, and this one's going to be in the right front quadrant for Bermuda. You never want to be in that right front because that's the most intense, strongest winds, waves, everything, storm surge. So it's close, very close call here, Tuesday, Wednesday time frame for Bermuda. And then we've got what will soon be Imelda coming out of the Bahamas here, and good news is here's a little bit of a Fujiwara effect. We'll explain that here in a second here. But originally models were plowing this right into South Carolina near Charleston, and now they've backed off a bit here. A little bit of a Fujiwara where it gets sucked out by the stronger Humberto. So we'll see here. South Carolina certainly could have some flooding rain here. Here's a model here where it takes it right very close to South Carolina, and then you can see here, and then right turn right here. So we'll see if that can hold true here. It's only expected to be a Cat 1, but you got to be careful here because the waters are certainly warm. This gentleman, Fujiwara effect, again, he came up with this theory back in 1921, so a long, long time ago, Japanese scientist here. But anytime you have a stronger hurricane like Humberto, it can suck in the smaller one, and they kind of merge into one bigger storm here. So we'll see that happens. I don't know that they'll completely merge here with Imelda, but it's sucking it in off the coast here. So we'll see if that can be the case here. Looking at severe weather here as of the 26th of September, hail cases still down. Tornado cases down 9% versus a year ago. Hail's now up 1% over last year, and wind cases are up 3%. So winding down here for the hurricane season. Not a lot to see here. Just a little bit unusual to see some of this out in the Rockies here, but again, winding down for the severe weather season here. Year-to-date, hot 90 days, and starting our less than 32-degree days here, so those will start to expand here. About the same here. U.S. is down 7% for hot 90-degree days versus last year, 6th most in 40 years, and not many in the 32-degree cold days here. We're going to get a couple here in the Northeast, though. Still up 13% versus last year, but way below average here for freezing days here across the U.S. So far this late summer, fall. Flu is, again, pretty much non-existent at this stage. Slowest start in 5 years, 15% below last year. This is very similar to what happened in Australia. They had a warmish fall for them and then a very slow start to their flu season that didn't peak until spring. So we actually think that'll be a similar scenario for us here in the U.S. So probably another late February, even into early March peak this year for our flu season, with more of a type B versus the last couple of years that have been type A strains. Looking at fall color here, is expanding pretty quickly here. Actually, we even have some here in eastern PA here, but this will go very quickly over the next few weeks. You can see map inset left is when the right is when the conditions are probably going to peak for much of the country in mid to late October here. Looking at last week world summary here, ending today here in the U.S. it was 0.3 warmer than last year, warmest in 8 years, second hottest in 40 years. So a very warm week nationally. Even though it was warm, hot 90-degree days were actually down 31%, least in 4. Still 11th most in 40 years, and dry, 34% drier than last year, but still 14th wettest in 40 years. Real cold there in Canada. They were coolest in 5 years, 7th coldest in 40 years, and pretty cool in parts there of across Europe as well. Map inset left are the trends versus average, and the big map here is the way our clients look at it with the change in the weather year on year. Look at this week here again. We've got, we'll show this Fujiwara effect here behind us here, but here in the U.S., it looked about 0.9 cooler than last year, coolest in 3 years. That's still third hottest, so we've had 3 really warm periods here in a row here, but this one will be the coolest of the 3. Hot 90-degree days, again, way down from last year, down 64%, least in 3 years, and rainfall up about 71%. A lot of that will be the South Carolina, North Carolina areas with effects of the potential hurricane, again, just off the coast. So wettest in 3, still 9th driest in 40 years. And again, getting some moisture there in California, the Pacific Northwest. They'll take it to help put out some fires out west. While we're warm week here in the Northeast, again, we do get a brief shot of very cool weather here mid to late week here. So this is Thursday morning. We got some 30s and 40s, expecting around 40 here in the eastern PA area here. So we may actually see our first frost here, again, as we get toward the Thursday morning. Look at next week, which gets us into the week before Columbus Day here, week ending the 11th. Still, again, just slightly cooler, 0.3 cooler, 5th warmest in 40 years. Hot 90-degree days, way down from last year's record-shattering week. So this was a very hot week last year for really hot days. Those really hot days are down 71%, least in 12 years. And rainfall just, again, up a bit, 2% wetter than last year, still 8th driest in 40 years. So still need to watch the tropics. As you can see here, we had 2 systems flare up really out of nowhere. Models didn't see it. So, again, we got to watch them this time of year as we are definitely in the peak of the season. Look at the world 2-week outlook here, again, just aggregating the 2 weeks here. So hot in the central U.S. is general theme. A cool spot would be more extreme New England, eastern, northeastern Canada. Cool there across Europe. A little bit of a milding trend across the UK that had been so cool. Look at the world 2-week precip outlook here again. So again, pretty dry across most of the U.S. Maybe a little bit of rain there in the west parts of Northern California and obviously the southeast coast. So that, folks, have a great week ahead, and we will talk to you again this time next week.